On Wednesday, July 5th, the entire internet broke because Rob Kardashian outed Blac Chyna. Meanwhile, North Korea launched missiles that can reach the United States of America. No one cared.
Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs?
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure! We've come too far! There's too much to lose! We've got to keep our composure!
What do you want from me?
The fact of the matter is,
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
now a lot of people are going to be telling you you're crazy, and maybe they're right, but the fact of the matter is,
What's going on, everyone? My name is Marcus Rencher, and you are now tuned into episode 2 of the Fact of the Matter podcast. Now, I just want to thank everyone for enduring my first episode, which was something that I was extremely nervous, not only to release, but just to record in general. And it was probably pretty apparent based off of the sound quality and just the overall approach that I took with that first episode. I don't know who I was fooling. I was trying to have somewhat of a quote unquote radio voice. So I was trying to speak kind of low and, I don't know, for lack of a better word, seductive even. That's not really my personality for those that know me. I had a close friend tell me, I had so many critiques, obviously. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this at all. But I had a close friend tell me that he literally was falling asleep 30 seconds in. My own mother told me, oh man, I wish I can pull up the exact, you know what, I'm going to do that. I have my phone in front of me and I'm going to read her exact review of the first episode because I'm sure she I'm sure she listened to a good amount of it. So let's see. She said she loved the podcast, but she couldn't hear anything. The intro, but she couldn't hear anything else from there. The sound was really, really bad, and she was disappointed that she couldn't hear it. Need to fix. But she loves the concept and blah, 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 mom stuff. But, shout outs to mom and shout outs to everyone, really. If you took the time to listen to a project of mine and something that I'm so passionate about right now, like, I'm so motivated and determined to just do better and be better at this and you know, just like anything, practice makes perfect, as cliche as it sounds. Trust me, this is something I consider my redemption episode. So, I'm going to censor this episode primarily around sports again. This show is about news headlines of any genre, be it sports, pop culture, music, politics even, that grab my attention, that I have an opinion on, that I want to talk about. It's as simple as that. And as time goes on and weeks go on, actually it will literally be next week where any type of background sound that you hear currently will be gone. I'm finally going to invest in the proper equipment for podcasting. And I'm really excited about it. And but for now, you just got to use what you got. And I want to make this a weekly show. So this is episode 2. So let's get it going. So I'm going to start off by talking, surprise, surprise, about the NBA, my lovely NBA. And, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. We're in the NBA free agency period, so there's so much news, so many acquisitions, and so many teams that acquire new talent. But, before I touch on specific teams where I think that got significantly better, I'm going to start by saying the Warriors in 5, NBA Finals 2018. If you follow me on Twitter, I think I tweeted that yesterday. Once again, my Twitter is #_Marcus_. That's the word #_ my first name, Marcus _. Follow me. So, yeah, the Warriors in 5. Come on. They just signed Nick Young. They kept David West, Sean Livingston, and they got this dude Omar Caspi. They're probably going to get another big. I'm not sure either to replace Zaza or to just be more athletic. They don't even need him. There's nobody in the NBA that can stop the Warriors. I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast today, and he had I can't remember who exactly it was who's on the show, who his co-host is, but they were saying something like the OKC can be the third best team in the Western Conference. Who cares? First of all, Paul George, great signing. I guess I'm going to get into the teams that acquired players that are going to make them better. But Paul George, great signing, great player. I particularly like Jimmy Butler better than him, or Jimmy Butler more than him. But if Russell Westbrook couldn't win with Kevin Durant and vice versa, what makes anybody think that they're going to get over the hump and beat the Warriors with Paul George and Patrick Patterson, another player that they got this offseason? Come on. Like, I don't see it. They just signed this bum, Andre Robertson. I don't care what anyone says. Dude can play defense. He is a liability. If you have a guard that's a liability in the final minutes of the game that can D up your best player, but all they got to do is foul him, and he's going to miss one or both foul shots, what's the point? You're going to sign this dude? We're past that point. We're slowly transitioning. Not even slowly. We are currently in the era of the NBA where you need to be able to shoot no matter what your position is. You need to be able to shoot the basketball. And if you can play defense on top of that, it's a win-win. But these teams are averaging 100-plus points a game. 100-plus points. I remember watching NBA Finals when it was San Antonio versus Detroit. I think Game 7, the final score was like 87-84. That's the final score of the game. That's a defensive juggernaut of an NBA Finals. Both of those teams were just going at each other defensively. And that's fun to watch and all, but it's more entertaining currently where we're at. And I don't know, I think if you sign players that, unless they're a center where you're not really recognized as a shooter, as a foul shooter, someone that has a high free throw percentage, but if you're a guard and you can't score, I don't know. I think Andre Robertson's a bum. He showed himself last year. But I mean, listen, that's my opinion. You can take it or leave it, but I just think people are overhyping OKC right now. I think a team that's not getting hyped up enough, which is going to be such a fun team. I talked about it in my first episode, if you can even hear it. A little dig at myself right there. But the Minnesota Timberwolves are the real deal. Minnesota Timberwolves they got Jeff Teague now. They got Taj Gibson, who I think is extremely underrated. I was reading some comments on Twitter saying Gorgie Jang is the better person to start there and put Cat at the 4. Whatever they do with that 4-5 position, where they put Taj at the 4 and Cat at the center, or Cat at the 4 and then Jang at the center, they're good money, man. They got a solid bench. They re-signed Brandon Rush. They got Tyus Jones coming off the bench, who's a really good backup point guard. They got Shabazz Muhammad. I mean, I could talk about that team. That might be one of my favorite teams to look out for next season. Them, obviously, I'm going to say the Pelicans, even though they're probably going to be trash. I don't know. They got 3 players on their team. They got Drew Holiday, Boogie, and AD. That's all they got. But Boogie and AD are 2 of my favorite bigs in the league, hands down. They're the 2 best in the league, hands down. Still can't believe they're on the same team, but, I mean, if they can get some players, maybe by the trade deadline, maybe squeak into the playoffs, I don't know. There are a lot of people actually, speaking of squeaking into the playoffs, thinking that the Lakers can squeak into the playoffs. Now, I was reading a report saying there are sources saying that Jamal Crawford wants to go to LA, the Lakers. He wants to get bought out by Atlanta, team he was just traded to, in that 3-team swap with Gallo and Gallinari and who else was it? I think it was just a draft pick and some other player from some other player. I can't remember. I'm supposed to be able to remember. Listen, I'm getting better. Don't worry. I'm gonna have more stats in front of me. I'm going off the cuff with this, but yeah, he wants to get bought up by Atlanta. Don't blame him. They have nobody else on their team anymore besides Dennis Schroeder, who's probably licking his chops that he's gonna be able to have the ball in his hands all season. But I digress. Jamal Crawford wants to go over to the Lakers because he wants to play with Lonzo Ball. I mean, real quick, Jamal Crawford is 37 years old. Now, I'm not saying that as any shade to Jamal Crawford, because that's my dude. Nick's Tate, once a Nick, always a Nick. My brother Malcolm's favorite player, probably still, if not one of his favorite players. That shake and bake is legendary. I mean, he's made that move iconic for sure. If you don't know what it is, just go on YouTube and type in Jamal Crawford shake and bake, because it's official. But Jamal Crawford is 37 years old, and he plays the exact same way he did when he was on the Knicks, which is incredible. I don't know what his workout routine is. He's on some, I don't even know. I don't know what. He does not look a step slower. He's sipping from the fountain of youth. I don't know what it is. He's a vampire. He looks the exact same too. He's taking a book out of Keanu Reeves, the actor Keanu Reeves' book, because both those guys, they just don't age. I mean, there's plenty more, but I legitimately believe Keanu Reeves is a vampire. So that's another story for another day. But I'm not joking either. But Jamal Crawford wants to play in LA with Lonzo Ball. So, I mean, people are thinking that they could squeak into the playoffs. Such a long shot to me. They got a bunch of young players. They got a nice young core, young nucleus. They probably think they're going to get Westbrook or Paul George or even LeBron. I don't know. Magic Johnson is going to work his magic, pun intended. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't see it with the Lakers, I'm going to be real honest. But I'm definitely looking forward. The NBA is just going to be really fun to watch this year. There's so many stories. There's so many high-paid players on teams that have to produce very early on, or else they're going to be seen as busts or scrubs. Like, people are talking about Otto Porter getting a max deal. Otto freaking Porter. He's not even the fourth best player on that team. I'll take Kelly Oubre over him. I mean, he's all right. Porter's all right, but he was the third pick in the draft. He's supposed to be serious. So, anyway, another team I'm looking forward to watching this season is Phoenix, and for one reason and one reason only, and that's Kobe squared, or let's say the second coming of Kobe, in my opinion. Devin Booker, dude put up 71 points last year. LeBron never did that. Melo never did that. KD never did that. I don't care who they could be playing against the worst teams. Melo put up 62 against freaking the Charlotte Bobcats. Bums. So they were terrible that season. LeBron did the same, put up 61 that same season. We haven't seen anything in that 70 range since Kobe. So, I mean, Devin Booker, he was 20 years old last year when he did that. If you don't think Devin Booker is going to be the top 3 player in the league within the next 5 years, then you're out your mind. I'll say that till I'm blue in the face, if that's even possible. But yeah, Devin Booker is somebody I'm definitely looking forward to watching this season. 25 a game, easy. He's going to put up 25 a game, easy. And Josh Jackson being another young player on that team with Marquise Chris, like, they got a nice young team. That's another team I'm looking forward to watching. I mean, the Western Conference is just stacked, man. The Western Conference is just loaded with super teams right now. And to be honest, if there are some scragglers of players that are too prideful to want to team up with with another star and create a quote unquote super team. Really, just be like a dynamic duo if there's two people. Like Houston, they only got two players. They got CP3 and Harden. Like OKC's just got Westbrook and Paul George. New Orleans only got AD and Boogie. Like they're these teams that have two, really good players. But I mean, who we fooling? They're not gonna beat the Warriors. But anyway, there are players that are just being real hard headed, and they don't want to join up with any other players. They just want to try to do this thing solo. And I think Damian Lillard is one of them. And I can see him signing a max extension with Portland and staying there and try to finish out his whole career over there. I mean, his hometown is Oakland. He's not going to Oakland. Steph is already there. So, I don't know. I don't see him leaving. I think he's just one of those real prideful players, and I respect the hell out of him for that. Damian Lillard is one of the best players in the league. One of my favorite players in the league, hands down. Throw it on anybody. When he hit that game winner against Houston a couple years ago in the playoffs, like that was just dope. Especially because another one of my favorite players that used to play for Portland, Brandon Roy, he did the same thing a few years back. I think it was in the same spot too. So, I mean, I think that players like John Wall, who have the opportunity to sign an extension right now, they're offering him the Supermax over there in Washington. And he hasn't signed it. I don't think he will, because I think he's smart enough to know that him and Bradley Beal, player that I love to watch also, they're not going to win together unless I was reading somewhere that once Boogie's contract is up, he might want to team back up with John Wall and get a big three going with Bradley Beal himself and John Wall. So, I mean, that would be fun to watch. That really would be fun to watch. But I don't know. There's so much uncertainty. There's so many teams that are just trying to. In the Eastern Conference, the main goal isn't even like, I want to win the NBA Finals. It's how do we pass LeBron James? They're all praying that he goes to LA or goes somewhere out west, because he's gonna dominate the Eastern Conference regardless of whatever Boston just did. So, I mean, these players that are trying to just do it solo, like Melo's kind of in that boat. He's trying to bring players to him. Melo doesn't get enough love, which is crazy, because he's Melo to me, and he just gets so much hate ever since he came to New York. And that's what happens. You play for New York, the spotlight's on you, and if you don't produce, then I mean, hey, but it's not fair. I agree that it's not fair, but Melo was one of those players that I was just mentioning that just wants to just try to either do it solo or bring players to him into New York. But New York's a cursed franchise, man. Like, they just are. Players that used to play there leave, win championships. Coaches that used to coach there leave, win Coach of the Year. Like, I mean, it's just the Knicks are a cursed franchise. James Dolan must have done something with the Illuminati elites. And oh yeah, I believe in the Illuminati, by the way. If I lose some listeners because of that, I'm not gonna sit here and preach to you, but I do believe that there are powers that be that control the direction of specific things in entertainment industry. But we'll talk about that another day. But anyway, James Dolan, he must upset somebody somewhere along the way, or it's just that he just cares about putting butts in the seats. That's all he cares about. Because at the end of the day, no matter what the team that the Knicks put out on the floor, they're going to sell out the Garden. Pretty much sell out the Garden all the time. They're going to make money. Those prices are ridiculous. Even when they're terrible, ticket prices are ridiculous. So, I mean, James Dolan is an absolute idiot, but I'm not going to sit here and just bash on James Dolan for an hour, because I could easily. I think last episode I talked about him for a good 20 minutes. I won't do that to you guys right now, but I mean, Melo's being a little hard-headed. There's some other players that are solo right now but they're not at that level of John Wall, Damian Lillard, and Melo, those guys. But I think that what Boston is doing in just the Atlantic Division as a whole, the Knicks are just being left behind, even behind Brooklyn. Brooklyn is even trying to do something. There's this calendar on YouTube that shows each team and each free agent acquisition or just summer move that that each team has made. And I'm seeing a bunch of just different moves from different teams, different players. I see New York Knicks and I see Ron Baker. Ron freaking Baker. It's the only player the Knicks did anything. That's the only player that they've done anything with. They've lost players. They've gone backward. Now I get it. Rebuild. Lost Phil. These are Phil's players. It's gonna take a while. We're Knicks fans, so we're extremely impatient. I'm so impatient in just life. So I can only imagine how I am with the Knicks. Being a Knicks fan is just depressing. It's depressing. But to see Philly and Brooklyn, two teams that were just trash, about to just pass the Knicks. Like, Brooklyn has a bunch of players around them that are coachable, and they play hard for I can't remember the coach if it's Holland, but yeah, they play hard for him. They play hard for him. They play hard. They compete. They get blown out for sure, but it's not that often. Like, the Knicks will get blown out with Melo and KP on the floor, like running that daggone triangle. But Philadelphia and Brooklyn both making moves, and obviously Toronto, they're gonna be right up there still. But Boston, I'm hearing Marc Gasol might go over there. If they figure out a way to get Marc Gasol, first of all, Memphis, I can't see them getting rid of Marc Gasol. He's like beloved there. He spent damn near his entire life over there. He went to high school over there. He went to high school over there. He went to he was fat over there. He lost weight. So they just saw that whole change. He was fat Marc Gasol over there. When you go from fat to thin and you change, you become a perennial all-star. They got him and Mike Conley over there, the two all-stars. I can't see them breaking that up. It doesn't matter who's on that team. They play so hard and they make the playoffs. But they did get rid of Zach Randolph, which was surprising. They're retiring his number also, which it seems players just get their numbers retired for whatever nowadays. I guess I understand with Chris Bosh, but Zach Randolph, he must have. I don't know. I don't live in Tennessee. I don't live in Memphis, so I don't know. Respect. Once a Knick, always a Knick, always. Knicks take woo woo. Respect to Zach Randolph. But back to my main point, Marc Gasol. If Boston can figure out a way to get Marc Gasol, they could possibly beat Cleveland, but they're not beating the Warriors. But they got a nice little squad over there. They're gonna probably get rid of Jay Crowder, and the attempt to sign Gordon Hayward, because from what I understand, they don't really have the cap space to be able to sign Gordon Hayward to the amount of money that he has. They got to free up some cap space. So they'll probably get rid of Jay Crowder, probably find a way to get rid of Marcus Smart. Jay Crowder end up going over to Utah because they'll probably do some sign and trade. Utah would sign Gordon Hayward and then trade for Jay Crowder or whatever. But and Marcus Smart also. Those are the two, and Kelly Olynyk. Those are three expendable players on that team. I wouldn't get rid of Avery Bradley. He's just way too important. Continues to get better every season. Not yet. He's a free agent next season. So, I'm sitting here talking about Boston because the Knicks are so bad. I just had to stop and just listen to myself. I'm an unbiased host, and I'm going to talk about all sports and all teams, but God, I hate Boston. I hate Boston so much in every sport that they have in that city. But you gotta respect Danny Ainge. You gotta respect what he's doing. Just a smart guy. Just understands basketball. Understands how to construct a team. Has a perfect coach over there, and they got Gordon Hayward, who him and Brad Stevens, they have a love affair, and they just want to win. But somebody was saying today that they don't know how Isaiah Thomas is going to fare playing with. Oh, no, I was listening to Undisputed, and this was Shannon and Skip. They don't know how Isaiah Thomas is going to fare sharing the ball, because last year George Hill put the ball in the perfect spot for Gordon Hayward every time down the court. Every time down the court, George Hill put the ball in the perfect spot for Gordon Hayward, which is the reason why he averaged 20 plus points a game, and made an All-Star team for the first time. And for those that do know me, by the way, I've been on the Gordon Hayward bandwagon for about 3-4 seasons now. Got better every season. Him and Rodney Hood. Rodney Hood is a perfectly fine replacement for Gordon Hayward over there, because Duke can ball. And it's another player from Duke. I mean, F Duke, whatever. But yeah, Duke can ball for sure. But yeah, Gordon Hayward, I mean, he's the real deal. And hopefully Isaiah Thomas and them, they mesh well together. Isaiah Thomas got to get out of that 25 points a game mode and maybe stick to maybe 18, 19. Get Gordon Hayward the ball. Get these young kids the ball. You got to get Jaylen Brown and Jason and Tatum the ball, man, because they're killing it in summer league, and they're just young, hungry players that want minutes, and they both want to be the next Paul Pierce. So, I mean, and they just they're just talented players. So Isaiah Thomas has got to share the ball. He's got to spread the wealth, and he can't just be ball dominant like he was last year. And he better not be a liability on the defensive end towards the end of games like he was last year. But I mean, Boston, they got a real shot. I mean, they were the number 1 seed last year only because I think Bron didn't really care. He just knew it was about the playoffs and getting to the finals, and that's all that really mattered, because they steamrolled basically. So, but at the end of the day, my main point is that the Atlantic Division has a complete overhaul in all teams. I mean, Philly, look at Philly. If you're not excited to see Philly do anything, if you're probably the highest rated game next season, if it's not Warriors opening game, whoever they play against when the schedule comes out, it's going to be Philly's opening game. Actually, I'm telling you right now, Philly's opening game is going to be a national televised game. They have 2 number 1 picks, Joel Embiid, one of the most entertaining guys, charismatic players in the NBA. They just got J.J. Redick. They got a good squad. They got Dario Saric, runner-up for Rookie of the Year. They got a nice young nucleus, nice young squad. And I can't lie, I'm excited to see them play, because Markelle Fultz is just, he's the realest. He's the realest. He got 3 or 4 NBA moves that just like, he's ready for the league. He does a spin move like Kyrie. I think Kyrie's the only person in the league that has a spin move like that. And he did that. He broke that out 3 or 4 times during summer league already. He's a real number 1 pick. Last year in summer league, Ben Simmons, he kind of underwhelmed everyone, but I still think he is going to be a great player, LeBron-esque, and I don't know. I think and Joel Embiid, if he can stay on the court, that's the thing. These young kids, they got to stay healthy. They're out here trying to dribble and cross over and all this other stuff. That's probably why they're getting hurt, tearing their ACLs. And every time Joel Embiid went up for a dunk and landed, I thought his career was over. I used to think that about Anthony Davis, and it's funny because, dude, he gets hurt all the time also. So, I mean, if they can just stay on the friggin' court, Philly can. I can't see them really making the playoffs. I mean, Brian Colangelo, is it Brian Colangelo, the president? He was telling them, he went on record to say that, or Jerry Colangelo, I always mix the names up, but he was on record saying, hold your horses a little bit, predicting the playoffs. But I mean, I just like that big 3, call themselves the Feds, which is funny, but I like that big 3, and I'm excited to see them play. And then Brooklyn getting D'Angelo Russell. I mean, I like D'Angelo Russell. I like Timothy Mozgov, Nick Tate, woo, all day, every day, once Nick, always Nick. I mean, I like those 2 pickups. Jeremy Lin is still on that team. D'Angelo Russell doesn't have to be ball-dominant point guard, because Jeremy Lin can pass the hell out the ball if he can stay on the court. And don't get me wrong, Brooklyn's probably still going to win about 20 games. Give Boston a top 5 pick again, which is just complete bullshit. But I mean, the Atlantic Division, and then Toronto, they signed Ibaka and Lowry. That's all they really needed. They lost PJ Tucker, but I mean, they're still going to be probably the best team in the Atlantic Division just because they have the chemistry. They're going to be top 4 in the Eastern Conference for sure, along with Boston, Washington, Cleveland. So they're going to be somewhere around there. So, I mean, the Atlantic Division, the Knicks are just being left behind. And as much as I sound like a baby about this, it's not fair. It's not fair. I just want the Knicks to be good. I would give anything. I would give anything. If somebody said, Marcus, we're going to take your right pinky and your left big toe. You can't sew them back on. You can't do anything. You got to lose them forever. And Knicks win a championship next year, 2018. Man, I'm pausing because I consider it. I'd consider losing my right pinky for life and my left big toe. And I don't even know if you can stand up straight without a big toe. I'd like to look that up actually because I'm not positive. But if you can stand up properly without a big toe, then come on, who cares? I don't know, man. That's tough. I don't want to lose any appendages. But I love the Knicks. It's tough. It's like, honestly, it's 50-50. I'd flip a coin. I'd legitimately flip a coin. Whoever comes up. If I lose a finger and a toe, then whatever. Knicks win a championship. And I will cry tears of joy. And that's all I want. But, let me just try to get back on topic here. Let's see what else I got. I want to touch on the Lakers. I want to go back west. Lonzo Ball. You can't talk about the NBA and not talk about the biggest story in the NBA right now, which is Lonzo. Hands down, the 3 Ball brothers I noticed are on the upcoming cover of Slam magazine, which is dope to me, honestly. I mean, I've been following these kids for a little bit. I didn't think they were gonna be like as crazy as they were. I honestly think that if you know anything about like high school basketball, the Porter brothers are way better in every way. Michael Porter Jr., who's going to, I think he's going to play for Missouri next year, is every team in the NBA wants that kid. He's about 6'10", built, can handle the ball, not a big. He's a 2-3, playmaker off the dribble, throw it on anybody, turnaround jumper. I mean, I think he's going to be serious. But the Ball brothers, they're creating waves right now because of one person and one person alone. You know who that is. And that's LeVar Ball. Mr. Stay in Your Lane. Yo, he went on. I'm not sure if you guys saw this. I mean, I'm a wrestling fan. From time to time, you might hear me talking about some wrestling. I got one of my really good friends who at one point will be a guest on this show, and I know we'll go on a rant talking about wrestling. But LeVar Ball went on Monday Night Raw, WWE's Monday Night Raw, and it was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Some music hit. I don't even know what music they played for him. He started doing his LeVar Ball walk, which is just hilarious. The memes are all over the internet. And then came out with Melo. I don't know what happened to LiAngelo Ball. He was supposed to be there too, but he probably chickened out because he just seems kind of strange to me. He's like the one that's like real quiet. He doesn't really talk to nobody. Like, I don't know. He just seems a little awkward. But because when I watched the 4 of them on that Complex has this segment where you go to a Flight Club and you buy sneakers. You go sneaker shopping, and the 4 of them were on, and they were all kind of quiet. LeVar was doing most of the talking, but when it came to LiAngelo, it was like cringeworthy awkwardness. And if people that know me, I don't really like awkward situations, but he was super awkward. LiAngelo was super awkward. But anyway, they went out there, and LeVar just like ran out to the ring, did some like weird ass run to the ring and tried to slide like the wrestlers do, and he failed, and he like kicked his leg out like a Rockette. And it was so funny. I wish I could sit here and watch the video right now. And then he like at one point took his shirt off, was like getting in one of the wrestlers' faces, and then all of a sudden LaMelo, Lonzo came out also, and then LaMelo had a mic in his hand, and he was like, "Kick that nigga ass, kick that nigga ass." This is live, by the way. WWE Raw is a PG show. I'm sure that didn't go over well. In fact, I know for a fact after reading some articles, it didn't go over well. To me, it's just hilarious. It's probably such one of the highest rated segments in a while. But they're just captivating. LeVar Ball is captivating. He makes you want to listen and watch. And the fact there's no such thing as bad press, and I know that's what he keeps telling his whole family. Like, they're probably a little embarrassed, but they're getting eyes and ears to listen to where the ball to listen and watch the next move. And because of that, regardless of the prices of those sneakers, I mean, people are gonna buy them. If Lonzo goes out and drops 20 and 10 assists and 7 boards in the first game of the season, doesn't matter who it's against, people are gonna buy those sneakers. Because he's gonna go out there. I don't know if their first game is home or away. He's gonna go out there, wear those ZO2s, the big baller brand. He's gonna drop some points. People are gonna say, "Wow, he's a real deal." They're gonna buy those $600, $500 pair of shoes. And I mean, they just showed some color waves from Independence Day, the red, white, and blue joints. I mean, I'm not even gonna look at them, because I'm not gonna look at those sneakers. I'm never gonna buy them. I'm not a sneakerhead like that. But people are gonna buy those shoes. I think those are running for like $700. The slides, the slip-on slides, those are running for like $200. I mean, people are gonna buy them. The Ball family, like, it's based off of. It's not even based off of what they can do in the court. It's just based off of the potential. And to me, that's dope. I think LeVar has orchestrated all this. You know what's funny? And this is what I believe. This is because I'm not super big on conspiracy, but I kind of think that, like, I don't know, things play out certain ways. I'll just put it that way. Now, Lonzo's number is number 2. He went number 2 in the draft. LaMelo's number is number 1. He could go number 1. He could tear it up. Dude's about to be a junior. He's already getting all this play. He dropped like 92 in a game last year in varsity. I mean, Chino Hills, their offense is ridiculous. It's like so stupid, but you still dropped 92. That's impressive. So he wears number 1. Who knows? He could be the number 1 pick in the draft. You know he's going to the league. Now, what's interesting is LiAngelo. He's playing at UCLA this season. Major market college basketball team. No, not sure if he'll start. Not really sure what that squad's looking like. But his number is 15. Now, if he goes, and he could be projected depending on how he plays, how he improves. I mean, his game is seen as the least impressive out of the 3 brothers, but I could see him being around that 15 pick. And that'd be so funny, man. If he goes 15, I don't even know. I'm not even go any further because it's kind of just freaky to think about, but that'd be funny. That means LeVar Ball is either a time traveler or just a genius. And I'm going to go with time traveler. But, no. But it's just funny, man. LeVar Ball, he's got people talking, and that's really all that matters, right? You got people talking, and being able to sell yourself and promote. I mean, this is a perfect segue because I'm just getting better. Listen, guys, I'm getting better at this because I'm just talking about promoting and selling yourself. I'm going to segue to probably the 2 best promoters in the history of promoting, and that is Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. Now, I am a huge fight fan, UFC specifically. I can talk your ear off about boxing and UFC, but mainly the UFC. I've been watching UFC strong since like my junior year in high school, since like 07, 08. I can do an entire show just about the UFC upcoming events, and I really love the UFC. I really love mixed martial arts in general. I mean, I watch Bellator. I used to watch WEC. I used to watch Pride. That's more so kickboxing, but I still love just overall combat sports. Now, I forgot when it was. I think Conor McGregor went on. This was when he was about to fight Chad Mendes. And if you were a fan of the sport and you're a fan of Conor McGregor, you'll remember this fight. I think it was about 3 years ago. Jose Aldo got injured. He had to back out of the fight. This is for the featherweight title, 145. Chad Mendes decided to step in. And by the way, anybody that goes in to step in for a fight without a full camp in any way, like, big ups to you. Real quick, I'm gonna say, when John Jones couldn't fight DC, the trilogy or the last fight that was supposed to happen, I think it was at UFC 200, and Anderson Silva came in in a week. He came in on Monday. The fight was on Saturday. He's not even a light heavyweight. He fights at middleweight, which is 185. He came in at 205, and he went and fought DC and lost. It was a boring fight, but I mean that takes balls to me. I mean, I'm not a fighter. I don't know what that takes, but there's a lot of people that turn down fights on short notice just because they're not really sure about the guy or if they don't have a full camp. I mean that's expected, but if you do take the fight, that's awesome. So Chad Mendes took that fight. Conor McGregor went on Conan O'Brien show on TBS, and he went out. He was just talking so much crap. Dude can promote the hell out of a fight. He makes you want to watch a fight. He talks so much crap about anybody that he's fighting. He used to call his shots. He used to say when Conor McGregor first got into the UFC, he used to tell the press and the fighter himself at what round he was going to beat him in and how. Oh, I'm going to beat you in the first round with a knockout. Oh, I'm going to TKO, spinning roundhouse kick to the face, and boom, boom, boom. I mean, he didn't really get that in depth, but he used to call his shots, and he used to get it right. Surprisingly, one of the only fights that he didn't predict correct, I'm not sure if he called it would go the distance, but it was Max Holloway, who is now currently the featherweight champ, which is funny because, Conor's never going to go back down to 145. I'm just telling you right now, there's no way he ever goes back down. But anyway, Conor was on Conan talking crap about Chad Mendes, and then all of a sudden, he talked. I think Conan asked him a question about Floyd Mayweather, and boom, right there. That's when the seed was planted. He said his exact words were, "I will dismantle Floyd Mayweather as well. I will get into a boxing ring, and I will dismantle Floyd Mayweather as well." So at that moment, I was like, well, I got to see a little bit more about Conor McGregor's history. I mean, he started off as an amateur boxer before he even stepped into the world of mixed martial arts. So he's got that boxing pedigree. He grew up in the hard streets of Ireland. He literally had no money going into his first fight against in the UFC. No money. He was sleeping in a van. I mean, the history of Conor McGregor is just crazy. I mean, I just think Conor McGregor's hungrier than Floyd Mayweather. He wants it more. I mean, I have my conspiracies when it comes to that fight. But it was at that moment that the seed was planted, and I wanted to see it from that point forward. I mean, between then and now, I think Floyd had 2 fights. The terrible fight against Manny Pacquiao, that to me was fixed. I mean, of course, they were saying Pacquiao was injured. I thought it was fixed. I think Mayweather's last 4 or 5 fights were fixed. To be honest, when I say fixed, I mean Mayweather buys them. He's like, oh, there won't be any knockouts, but you can go the distance. We'll make it look good, and I'm going to win by decision. And I'm going to dodge, and don't get me wrong. As much as I can't stand the dude, if you can't already tell, I can't stand Floyd Mayweather. But he's the greatest defensive boxer of all time. Hands down, the greatest defensive boxer of all time. But keep in mind, he's 40 years old. Conor McGregor just turned 28 years old. Conor McGregor knocks people out. His last few fights, they finished standing right up. When he won the lightweight title, he knocked out Eddie Alvarez. Now, Eddie Alvarez is no Floyd Mayweather. He's no boxer at all. But he's got that left-hand power. Now, Jose Aldo, he never lost. He didn't lose a decision. I think in about, especially in the title fight, I think it was about 8 or 9, or I think it was eight bouts before he lost to Conor McGregor in 13 seconds with that same left hand. Same left hand he knocked out Chad Mendes with. Same left hand he knocked. He knocked everybody out with that left hand. And what he did with the one fight that he did lose, which was recently against Nate Diaz, he knocked Nate Diaz down in both fights with that left hand. Nate Diaz also probably weighed closer to 200 pounds going into that fight. Now, and McGregor, he can't walk around because he's about 5'6", 5'7". He probably doesn't walk around any heavier than 180, and that was a 170 fight. So he was fighting a bigger, a heavier guy, taller, heavier guy, and he knocked him out or knocked him down. Probably didn't have the power to knock him out, but I mean, that's probably tough to do, to knock out a heavier mixed martial artist. But he knocked him down multiple times, had him a bloody mess. I honestly think that Conor McGregor, if this was just a regular boxing match, which is what I hope it is, he can catch Mayweather a couple times. I mean, all of his boxing coaches and other professional boxers that he's sparring with are saying that he's got real knockout power and he's got quick hands. And I think that age and his reach advantage, he's already going to be tall. He's taller than him. He's got a longer reach than him. I think that plays to a part. I mean, what the greatest thing about this fight is the uncertainty. Nobody knows. Mixed martial artist has never stepped foot in the ring with a boxer. So all the boxers are going to say, well, if so-and-so couldn't beat him, if Canelo, if Cotto, if all these guys couldn't beat Floyd Mayweather, it makes you think that this mixed martial artist can do it. He doesn't have the hands. He hasn't been doing this his entire life. Meanwhile, the UFC fighters, I mean, the ones that saying that he can't win probably just don't like Conor. They don't like that Conor sold himself properly, did it the right way, scratched and clawed until he got the money that he rightfully deserves. Conor McGregor takes any fight with anyone at any moment. He was supposed to fight Rafael dos Anjos for the lightweight title. He got hurt. Nate Diaz steps in, said, "I'll fight you." They went up. Conor was supposed to fight Dos Anjos at 155. Nate Diaz came in at 170, ready to fight. Conor went up to 170 and fought him. He ended up losing. Took the L like a champ, because I didn't think he would. And Conor just takes fights, man. Some of these guys, they want the money, but they don't want to do what it takes to get the money. And now they're all trying to be talkers like McGregor, but nobody's taking him seriously because Conor was the first really to do it. So, I mean, those UFC fighters that don't think that he can beat Mayweather are probably just hating. But Conor really is a boss, man. Conor's a boss. He legitimately started from the bottom. I know Mayweather, I mean, he has his history as well. I don't really know his entire backstory like that, but Conor started from the bottom, and I'm rooting for him, man. Now, I got to get into some type of conspiracy with this fight, because I don't know. I wish I could be a fly on the wall during those meetings, because I just don't think Mayweather would risk his 49-0 record and potentially lose to a UFC fighter unless he knew that he was going to win. He wants this major payday, this $300 million payday, not even including the sponsorships and endorsements and all the other money that he's going to make on top of that. Like probably the biggest payday of his boxing career that he's going to get. I mean, Conor was on record a couple years ago last year saying that Mayweather needs him. And he's right, because there's not another fighter on the planet that Mayweather could have made the money that he's going to make fighting Conor McGregor. Now, McGregor, he knew that if he wanted to make Mayweather type money, the only person he can fight is Floyd Mayweather. And I don't know if maybe they spoke, maybe they have like this just amazing this ploy going on to just sell this fight, because if so, it's working. Everyone's going to buy this fight on August 26th. Everyone's going to buy it. I can't wait to watch it. But if that's the case, then then they're geniuses. But I hope it's just a regular fight because I want to see Conor win so bad. I want to see him go. I honestly, I wouldn't mind if it goes 12 rounds just because I just want it to last long. Now, Mayweather doesn't knock anyone out. And if you think he's going to knock out a mixed martial artist that gets punched in the face with those little 3-ounce gloves, that's basically like punching with a bare fist. Conor gets punched in the face with those all the time. You think Mayweather with those, what are they fighting with, 8-ounce gloves? You think that Mayweather, first of all, who doesn't knock anyone out, is going to knock out Conor McGregor out of your freaking mind? He's not going to knock out Conor McGregor. He's going to duck and dive, and he's going to do all the D's like from dodgeball. Dive, duck, dip, dodge, and dodge. I don't remember how they order. But you know that's what Floyd's going to do out there. And Conor's going to go out there looking for the knockout punch. And unless Floyd and him, when they signed that contract, gave Conor the potential to make more money if it just goes the distance and Floyd gets his hand raised at the end of the day. And at that point, it is a win-win for Conor McGregor. If Conor doesn't win and he goes the distance, then he can say he went 12 rounds with people are saying he's the best pound for pound boxer in our generation. He can say he went the distance with him as a UFC fighter. And not only that, he's going to walk away $100 million richer. His biggest payday in the UFC was $3 million. And that was like monumental. So to get $100 million, and that's just from the gate. Pay-per-view buys aren't even included yet. And sponsorship money that's going. They're saying it costs $10 million just to sponsor this fight. What they're saying is bigger than the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. This is going to be one of the biggest fights in the last 20-25 years. Just based off of buys and just excitement. I mean, I'm ecstatic. I really am. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait. I really cannot wait for this fight. I think they're both going to sell the hell out of it whenever those first pressers come. ESPN's going to be all over it. They're probably drooling just waiting for it. I mean, what's his name? Oscar De La Hoya is tight because I think it's the week before or 2 weeks before the Triple G and Canelo fight, which is going to be another great fight. Don't get me wrong. Triple G is going to win. Triple G is undefeated. To me, he's the next Mayweather in boxing. But I mean, I'm not even going to talk about that fight because I care about it, but not nearly as much as I care about Mayweather and McGregor. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, I'm really excited for that fight. And before I sit here and talk about this fight forever, I mean, I got to touch on two of my other favorite actual UFC fighters who are finally going to get their rematch. And that's Jon Jones and Daniel Cormier. So that is a fight that's highly anticipated. Jon Jones was suspended all last year. I'm not sure if you know the story, but he is doped up. He got suspended by USADA, which is the doping agency that they test UFC fighters for steroids and other just supplements. And Jon Jones failed, and this was after he got suspended for being all coked up and getting into a car accident and hitting a pregnant lady who was driving in the other car. And I mean, this fight was supposed to happen 3 times now. Jon Jones definitely easily beat Daniel Cormier the first time around. Daniel Cormier was undefeated before that. He was the rightful challenger for that lightweight title. Jon Jones was where Conor McGregor is right now. He was on top of the world. No one was able to beat him. Jon Jones was beating legends. That's the difference. Conor McGregor doesn't really defend his title. He beats people, for sure. Some will say that the fight against Jose Aldo was lucky, but I don't know. I think Jose Aldo he was scared to fight Conor McGregor that entire time. So, but I'm not going to just go back and talk about Conor. Jon Jones was on top of the world. He was getting all the money. He was on the cover of the game. And he went out there, he beat DC. And when it was time for them to have their rematch, he messed up. He messed up. He got hurt. DC got hurt. Then he got suspended. He came back, beat Oven St. Pure. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. OSP, that's what they call him. In a very underwhelming match. This was after he came back from the substance abuse car accident, and didn't look that great. But DC had from that point won the title against Alexander Gustafsson, and he looked great. So DC has won all of his fights since he was supposed to fight John Jones. So this fight is just destined to happen. Now, they're a little older, but John Jones, I think, is just 30 or is 29. So, and DC is, I think, 34, 35. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think John Jones is going to win. John Jones was my favorite fighter for a long time. John Jones is my favorite. And it's another highly anticipated match. They legitimately do not like each other. And when two fighters don't like each other, that's how you know you're going to get a great pay-per-view, great fight. They're just going to go at it. I can't see John Jones being as dominant as he was when he was on his stretch. I can see this going the distance and maybe going to decision. John Jones could get lucky and get a shot, but DC is going to go for those takedowns because he is an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. Daniel Cormier is an Olympic wrestler. I'm not sure if he won gold, silver medal, bronze. I'm sorry. So Daniel Cormier versus John Jones is just going to be the perfect prequel for the McGregor-Mayweather fight, because I'm really looking forward to that fight. There's a bunch of other fights I'm looking forward to. I mean, Yoel Romero and Travis Whitaker fight this weekend, and I'm looking forward to that fight. There's a bunch of fights that I'm looking forward to, but those are the two major ones I really wanted to touch on, because I mean they're all marquee guys, and they both can sell fights just by their names, and the UFC is on the rise, and unless you want to get left behind, I would jump on the bandwagon, because when McGregor comes out of this, he's going to be a trained boxer on top of his already established mixed martial arts ability. His next UFC fight is going to be probably one of the highest rated, most pay-per-view buys in the history of UFC. So I would jump on the bandwagon, because he's going to bring eyes to the UFC just from the fight against Mayweather already, because he's going to earn people's respect regardless. People may talk crap right now. Everyone's talking crap. Every money team, teammate or whatever, people that are just team Mayweather, so corny to me, man. I really can't stand Floyd Mayweather. But, I mean, I watch his fights. He does what I think that McGregor is going to do to boxing fans. Because I can't stand Mayweather, but I watch his fights. And I think there are people that won't be able to stand McGregor after this, because he's going to talk crap if he wins. He's going to talk crap if he goes the distance. And he's going to be a rich man. Still going to be in his prime. People are going to go and watch his fights. And it's going to just bring out more eyes to the UFC. And I think Dana White knew that. And I think the overall ownership of the UFC knew that, which is why they allowed him to do this, because he's the most marquee player in the UFC. So overall, I mean, jump on the UFC bandwagon, y'all, because it's taking off. And it's an exciting time. So I wanted to touch a little bit on the NFL. I mean, I haven't really established a real sequence for the topics that I'm going to be speaking on. This is my show. I don't have a guest, so whenever I'm ready to talk about the next topic, I'm just going to talk about it when I'm done talking. I know I don't want to have this show be too incredibly long. I don't want to bore anyone, but I also want it to be exciting enough and touch on topics where people are interested in. And everyone loves the NFL. Everyone. I'm so excited. I think it's 9 weeks until the start of the season. I've already got my fantasy draft date scheduled. Super hyped about that at work. It's really expensive buy-in, but people take it seriously. I'm taking it real seriously this year. I take it seriously every year, but this year I'm taking it super serious because I'm the youngest person in my office, and I already don't get enough respect as it is. So if I can win the fantasy league, oh my gosh, I'm hyped. The draft order we're going to be doing next week. So, I mean, I'm hoping for a 3 through 5. Don't want the pressure of being number 1. Never got lucky with the number 2 pick. Number 3 is good enough for me. I'm not going to sit here and reveal who I would take. Excuse me, jeez, who I would take in the first round. But I'm just gonna stop. I don't want to reveal my secrets because I take fantasy really. I have some friends that they walk around with like statistics, paperwork, and like they just go walk everywhere with it, and the potential and probability of how many yards per game this player is gonna get. Like, I don't take it that far. I just go off of my knowledge of the player based off of my overall knowledge of the NFL. I've been watching. I take the NFL just as serious as I take the NBA. So especially when there's more stories in the NFL to talk about, you'll hear me go on rants close to an hour on the NFL, just as I do with the NBA, like I did in the beginning of this show. In episode 1, I did the same thing. Majority of the show was about the NBA. So, I mean, I could talk about the NFL for that length of time also, but fantasy football is just so important to me. There are a few things throughout the year that I take so seriously. Fantasy football is one of them, and March Madness is another. I'm going to say when this show makes it to next March, it's probably be close to a 2-hour show of just my predictions and thoughts on March Madness. That's how much I love March Madness. I call out of work for day 1 of March Madness because it's that serious to me. I don't call out. If I have time to be able to schedule a day off, I definitely will. A lot of times it's on a Thursday. That day 1, it goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Saturday starts around 2. when I was working just retail jobs, I would take off that Thursday and Friday. Now I got big boy jobs, harder to do that. I was new here, and my current job I just got in February, so I couldn't take the day off. But you best believe I had that live stream playing on my phone, and I had it right at my desk, and I had my bracket right in front of me. So March Madness and fantasy football are 2 very important things to me. I do my boxes during the Super Bowl, and I bet money during the playoffs. I love the NFL, basically is what I'm saying, and I also love March Madness and college basketball, but we're not there yet, so no need to talk about it. But one of the topics I wanted to talk about in the NFL that grabbed my attention today was I saw that Jameis Winston said he wanted to be the greatest of all time, and I'm biased because as a black man, I love black quarterbacks, and not only do I love black quarterbacks, I like when they succeed. Now, they get a lot of slack, but I think Cam Newton might have broke that when he won the MVP a couple seasons ago. Last year, he underperformed, but they had a terrible offensive line, and they just didn't have the same team as they did the Super Bowl year. So I think, and the fact that he played so poorly towards the end of the game anyway, but that game was meant for Peyton Manning to win and ride away on his horse into the sunset anyway. But I'm not going to talk about that. But I just like successful black quarterbacks in the league. And the fact that Jameis Winston went on record saying I want to be the greatest of all time, why not? He's got weapons. He's got weapons now. Deshaun Jackson, I think, is a perfect just slot receiver, running off the edge, throw the deep ball. I think that Jameis Winston has the potential to be a great player in the league. But, no, honestly, there's no but. Jameis Winston's going to be a real deal. And another player that's got similar stock in a similar position on an up-and-coming team, Marcus Mariota. Besides the fact that we share the same name, which means we share the same intensity. No, it doesn't mean that. But besides the fact, I think that he is probably next in line to receive just a large contract, just because to me is very important for that team, for the future of Tennessee. And I was reading somewhere that he's next in line to get a contract, and I just can't deny it. I can't really deny it. His ability. We're in a current era of the NFL where quarterbacks just really can take over. I think we just got out of the running back heavy time era. I mean, NFL eras to me are kind of short just because their careers are so short already. And running backs, their star running backs really only last in the league for what, 4 or 5 seasons tops. Once they kind of hit that 29, 30, 31 age, unless you're kind of just like a mega star, your numbers are going to dip, and no one's going to really talk about you unless you're going out there putting up 150 yards a game. So we're back in the quarterback time, David Carr to me is the truth. Cam's out there playing crazy. Dak was a rookie last year, led his team to the second round of playoffs. Did something that Tony Romo couldn't even freaking do more than twice his entire time in Dallas. Meanwhile, he's looked as a legend. Like, Jesus, I'm a Giants fan, again. So any type of love that Tony Romo gets is just confusing to me. What the hell did he do? Meanwhile, Eli Manning, yeah, he threw some interceptions, a lot of interceptions. But guess what? He's a 2-time Super Bowl winning MVP. Twice against one of the best teams in NFL history. And he still doesn't get love. So, don't get it. Not fair to me. But, Tony Romo, I'm happy he retired. And you opened the door for Dak Prescott to be where he's at right now because you're a bum and you couldn't stay on the field. You're a bum. So, I hope you're listening, Tony Romo. I hate you. No, I don't hate you. I think you're actually a really nice guy. You seem like a nice guy. You love your kids, whatever. I just don't like Dallas. You played for Dallas, so, listen, you played the hands you dealt. I don't like you. It's going to be real. But anyway, we're talking about quarterbacks. Quarterbacks in the NFL right now, we're at a point where Aaron Rodgers probably going to win MVP next year. Dude played out of his mind like the last 8 games of the season. Called his shot, said they were going to make the playoffs. I think they were 500. Something, I forgot. They just went on a tear and won their last 6 games. Made like one of the craziest throws off down the sideline against Dallas in Dallas. Just Aaron Rodgers is going to be out of his mind. He's in his prime right now. He's going to play great. Even Tom Brady, who he just got the perfect team around him. The way the Patriots are constructed, not to take anything away from Tom Brady, but any quarterback can go in there and win at least 10, 11 games. Just being real. Last year, he didn't play the first 4 games, and they went 3-1 with, God, I wish I could, Brissett. Tony Brissett, I think his name was. I can't remember his name. That's how third string of a quarterback he is for the rest of his life. He will be. And so, I think that, he only played 1 game, half of 1 game, and then full game of the 4th game, I think. But they, the way the Patriots are set up right now, that's just how it is. But Tom Brady, he's a living legend. He's going to go down as the greatest of all time. It's just a fact. He's got 5 rings. They're more than likely will win this year. Unfortunately, unless my Giants go out there and meet them again. If Eli can throw, let's give him 15 picks this season. If he throws 15 picks, they got so many damn wide receivers. You better put up at least 20 TDs, at least 20 TDs. If he goes 20-15 on a TD to interception ratio, I'll be happy. I'll be very happy. At the very least, 20 touchdowns. Because I think the way their offensive line was rebuilt, they're gonna have no choice but to have a better run game. So, that's just what I'm hoping right now. So I think that Eli's doesn't fit into that category of quarterbacks that are up and coming because he's been in the league for a while. But who else? I'm trying to think. I was talking about Tom Brady. Tom Brady, he's 40. He's talking about wanting to play 5 more years. I can see it. He's in ridiculous shape. If you follow him on anything, I'm a big Under Armour guy. And as much as I can't really stand Tom Brady, he reps Under Armour, and so I respect him, and I follow his workout regimen and procedure and his eating habits, and he's just a freak of nature. So, Russell Wilson, another guy who I think he was hurt a lot last year. I don't really know if Seattle did anything to get better with that offensive line because he just got hit so many times last year. But I think they're poised to make another good run. Seattle, but just the quarterbacks in general in the league, they're just making some noise. And I mean, hey, the NFL, we're in for an exciting season. Any season is an exciting season. Any sport where you play once a week and you just can create that anticipation week to week. I mean, the NFL's just got it down. They've got to. I think that it was a smart move, them passing that rule to allow more of celebration and touchdowns, because that was just starting to be crazy. Like that, the mantra of the No Fun League, the being the acronym for the meanings for the acronym NFL. I mean, you were able to see it, you know. I mean, getting flags for everything. Even though last year when Antonio Brown did that twerk, and that was a little OD, but I mean, them being able to have some fun if they can't really hit the way that they used to, which thank God, because after I saw that movie Concussion, by the way, I had my entire new outlook on life. I don't want my son playing when I have a son. I don't have a kid right now, by the way, but my eventual son, don't want him playing in the NFL. I just don't want him playing football. It's being real. Don't want him to get concussed. The long-term effects are crazy. CTE, it's real. So, but so the fact that they have the more of rules and regulations when it comes to hitting, I think it's smart. So, but changing the rules for celebration and just every little rules here and there, I think it's smart for the overall enjoyment of the game. You look forward to Odell Beckham Jr.'s celebrations when he gets in the end zone. You're gonna hit them folks every time. You look forward to Cam throwing up a dab or doing something that Cam does. You look forward to those things. So make the league fun again. Hey, one of these teams better sign Colin Kaepernick. That's all I gotta say. And I'm done with talking about the NFL with that. I mean, it's been a great show. To me, I'm biased, right? But I think I did a little bit better. I'm not gonna rate myself at the end of each episode, but I got enough critiques at the end of episode 1 to feel extremely motivated to do better this one. And I think I did. Whatever. If you didn't think so, thanks for listening regardless, if you made it this far. I'm going forward, release episodes every Friday. Record them on Thursday, release every Friday. That's just how I'm going to do it for now. You can expect some guests, expect some fun. I got a lot of things planned going forward. I mean, I'm going to have some fun with this. I'm investing real time and money into this, so you better listen and enjoy it. No, I'm joking. I appreciate everyone that does listen. I really do. I'm going to take this as far as I can. I feel way more comfortable just doing this today than I did the first episode. I was so just robotic in overthinking of what I was going to say and how I was going to say it. I just free-flowing today. And I'm going to do the same thing when I get some guests, man. I'm going to get some guests. I'm going to spread around my topics. First 2 episodes are primarily about sports. I'm going to touch on some politics, some music for sure. Next episode you can expect to hear a lot about my take on current state of hip hop and just overall the music industry as a whole. Some movies, do some movie reviews. I'm seeing Spider-Man this weekend. See how that goes. Kind of on the fence about it. It's the 3rd reboot, so I mean we'll see. What did I just recently see? I saw Wonder Woman. Thought that was great. Saw Alien Resurrection. Thought that was great. I got that Cody, if you know what I'm talking about. So I watch a bunch of movies. Not trying to really out myself, but shouts out to creator of the Cody platform. You the real MVP. So I mean you can expect a bunch, and I hope I can create a legitimate following. And hey, if it's just 10 people that listen, I mean I'm thankful for all 10 of you. You know, friends and family, love you all. Thank you for just continuing to encourage me to do this and take it as far as I can and to be passionate about it. Something I love, I'm just gonna do it. I mean, hey, I get out of work at 5 o'clock every day. I pretty much, unless I'm going to the gym, I don't really do much. Didn't go to the gym today because I knew I was recording this. So all I gotta do is dedicate an hour and a half of my time a day to recording stuff that I pretty much tweet about on a regular basis. Follow me on Twitter, #Marcus, every day. That's what I tweet about it every day. So why not talk about it in front of a microphone for my enjoyment and for yours? So, I mean, I listen to a bunch of podcasts every day. I mean, there's definitely some dedicated podcast listeners out there that I think will enjoy my shows going forward, especially as I get better and the product just becomes more smooth. And more smooth or smoother? Smoother? I'll say smoother. Smoother kind of doesn't sound right. You ever say a word a bunch of times and then it just doesn't sound like it's actually a word or a saying? Yeah, so with that, I'm going to end episode 2 of the Fact of the Matter podcast. Thank you for listening. You've been awesome. And, hey, go Knicks.